This acquisition represents a lot of hard work behind the scenes, negotiations, and there are several agencies and nonprofits involved. So I want to recognize and thank all of our partners and the staff who have worked long and hard today to make this possible. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Commissioner Nick Fish, who is the Commissioner in charge of the Parks Bureau.
Thank you, Dan. Good morning. I want to begin by thanking all of our partners this morning. Our friends at Metro, Commissioner Saltzman, the Bureau of Environmental Services, Portland Parks and Recreation, and the Trust for Public Land. On a personal note, I've been a great admirer of Governor Roberts for the 14 years I've lived in this state. This is the first time I've stood with her as a colleague. I could get used to this. It's a thrill, Barbara. Over 100 years ago, the Olmsted brothers laid out a vision for public ownership of important natural areas in Portland. Their recommendations included the acquisition of the wooded hills west of the Willamette River. With this purchase today, we're creating a string of pearls running from Forest Park to the north all the way to Tryon Creek at the southern end of our city. This wildlife corridor will be the envy of every city in America. Special thanks to my team at Portland Parks and Recreation. They are deeply committed to preserving and restoring our cherished natural areas. And a special word about Director Zeri Santner, who, as many of you may know, recently announced she would be retiring this summer, ending 8 years of distinguished leadership for our city. Zeri put natural area stewardship at the core of the Bureau's mission. Zeri, thank you for your service to our community. There was a lot of private sector interest in this site, but we knew the only way to make sure it was protected for future generations was to purchase it for ourselves. In the future, we'll work with the community to create a site plan to ensure that the public has ample opportunity to enjoy the space, including hiking trails and environmental education. Everyone standing here today is committed to a single vision: a world-class regional system of parks, trails, and natural areas. Today, we're 146 acres closer to making that vision a reality. Thank you. And it's next my honor to recognize Governor Barbara Roberts.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm delighted to be here this morning representing Metro government and sharing this exciting announcement with Commissioners Fish and Saltzman. The upcoming acquisition of the 146-acre Riverview Forest land is the result of three important components coming together: the 2006 Metro Natural Areas Bond Measure, the collaboration of the Trust for Public Land who helped negotiate the arrangement, and the cooperation and planning from the City of Portland and Riverview Cemetery. These are the kind of partnerships that protect our region's natural resources, our most special places, the places that make Oregon, Oregon. Metro's voter-approved natural area program distributes money to local communities to invest in nature. Sometimes that happens on a small scale, improving a neighborhood park or finishing a missing piece of trail. Other times, like today, it happens in a way that affects the landscape of future generations. This large undeveloped acreage is a significant addition to Portland's wild environmental land. This site provides an unplanned wildlife corridor from Forest Park to Tyrone Creek, and 7 undeveloped streams flow through the property to the Willamette River. It contains both animal and fish habitat, critical habitat. Metro is both excited and highly satisfied that this collaborative effort is happening. It helps meet Metro's goals for the Willamette River Greenway. It moves us toward our vision of a network of paths and parks and trails and protection as part of the region's intertwine. Everyone here today recognizes that no single government or community group or citizen can protect our region's natural resources alone. Today is a demonstration of working partnerships, of collaboration, of commitment plus staff dedication to the mission of our natural environment here in the Portland area and protecting it and preserving it for the benefit of our citizens. I want to say congratulations to the city and all of the work that you put into this, and how exciting this is, not only for the city, but for the region and for the state. Metro has been delighted to be your partner in this wonderful effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I'd like to introduce Joff Roach, who's the head of the Oregon Office of Trust for Public Lands.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dean. You know, the mission of the Trust for Public Land is the conservation of land for people to enjoy as parks, trails, and natural areas. And as Governor Roberts has pointed out, that is the mission of the Intertwine, and we're a proud member of the Intertwine Alliance that's furthering that system. Days like today are the best parts of my job, when I get to stand before an Oregon community and say that we all have delivered. And in this case, it's particularly satisfying because this is a long-standing desire from the community. I want to point out a couple things that haven't been said today about Riverview as a project. First off, Riverview is indicative of kind of the new needs and approach that's required to land conservation succeeding in the future. We've all witnessed the demise of federal funding for actions like land conservation, a major change in the focus of America. And in addition to that, states will continue to be challenged by unbalanced budgets. This all adds up to what we as Oregonians already know very, very well. If we want to maintain the high quality of the community we share, if we want Portland Metro to continue to attract new people, and if we want the kinds of businesses and jobs that we need to have for our future, then as a big part of our competitive advantage, we need to assure the outdoors is within reach of all of us. And we have to do more of it ourselves. We have to do it ourselves. So there's 5 essential ingredients that I think Riverview really profiles, and I'll run through them very rapidly because I think people are in the room representing all of these. The first ingredient is our citizens. Individual advocates, neighborhood associations, people that stand up and place and keep projects like Riverview on the map, and in some cases for decades. This has been around for a long time. Second, committed local businesses and business leaders. David Noble, the Riverview Cemetery Board of Trustees, had no burning need to sell the southern portion of its holdings, especially now in a down economy. The cemetery did so because it bought into the vision and the value that land conservation for this property would bring. They granted the most precious thing that anybody in this line of work can ask for, which is time to assemble partnerships and get through a process. The third part has been discussed today already, and that is the professionalism at local resource agencies. And just cannot say enough about the powerhouse when City of Portland's Bureau of Environmental Services, Bureau of Parks and Recreation, and when Metro Regional Government come together to do something like this. Very, very powerful. The fourth, though, is also very important: elected leadership and people being willing to lead. Commissioner Fish, Commissioner Saltzman, Governor, Councilor Roberts, thank you for your leadership on this. Very, very important to getting anything done. The question here was never one of whether we would accomplish Riverview. It's just a question of how much impact we could have. In just a moment, about us is the fifth ingredient, the nonprofit community, which is able to live and breathe these complex projects every day. The Trust for Public Land is a community resource when it comes to accomplishing the land conservation goals that Oregonians have. So Riverview is a victory in and of itself, and it's fantastic to see it on this trajectory finally for land conservation. But it's also very telling of how large, complex projects will be accomplished tomorrow. And I look forward to working with all of you to finishing it up over the next couple of months. Thank you very much.
I'd like to have Zari Sentner come up. Yes.
I just wanted to, if I might, to recognize Councilor Rex Burkholder who is a strong supporter of the project and has worked toward this special day, and he was in the back of the room, and I didn't want to ignore him back there. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you. Before Zeri Santner thanks a lot of special people, I want to take a moment to thank her. As Commissioner Fish indicated, she's really given a lot to the community. As someone who has been a collaborator and partner with her, Environmental Services and Parks have worked together for a long time, but particularly since Zeri has been the director, we have accomplished a lot. This is a tremendous occasion, particularly beneficial to this southwest part of Portland. We have worked tirelessly throughout the city. We have preserved, protected, and restored acreage in southeast, in outer southeast, in northeast Portland, in North Portland, along all the different watersheds of Portland. And I just want to say, before Zeri gets a moment to thank all of you and all the participants, I want to take a moment to thank her. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very, very much. As was mentioned, there were 5 ingredients, and I need to add another ingredient to the success of this, and that's incredible, talented, hardworking staff who have been working on this project for many, many years. The idea for preserving this land, as Commissioner Fish mentioned, started with Olmsted, but the citizens have been a proponent of this, and we have indicated that in our natural area acquisition plan. But it's the staff that they are bird dogging this, and they are advocate for this. And I want to recognize several of them. From Bureau of Parks and Recreation, I would like to recognize David McAllister and Deb Lev, who have been working on this project for 2 or 3 years, and the city nature staff, Astrid Dragoy. From Bureau of Environmental Services, Shana Anderson and Paul Ketchum, they've worked so hard. They've been very, very, very tenacious. And from Metro, Laura Odom, it's been a great partnership. But this partnership would not have been realized without the willingness of the Riverview Cemetery. And I want to thank the Executive Director, David Noble, and the board chair, John Herman. Thank you very much for your willingness to work with us. And then finally, I want to thank Trust for Public Lands staff, Don Goldberg. He's been just going back and forth with us. There have been so many times that we thought we don't have a deal, this is not going to work. They've been tenacious, and we work together. So thank you very, very much, all of you, for making this happen. Thank you.
So we're available for questions.
Commissioner, what is the city's contribution to the project, and how does that fit in with the problem the city is having in keeping up Forest Park? I mean, we've been to the Capitol asking the state to possibly consider pitching in on maintaining the park. How does it all come together?
Well, the city's acquisition is primarily funded through Bureau of Environmental Services. And I don't have the exact numbers here, but somebody does. But I will say that we have to be opportunistic in government, and when an opportunity comes to add 146 acres of natural area to our city, we have to work together and find the resources to make it work, and that's what we did here.
Nick, you'd mentioned something about private investors were interested in the land. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, and to what degree did that drive this decision?
I can't give any, I get back to you with the names, but this is as you know, a very desirable place. It overlooks a bridge and a river, and it's on the backside of Lewis and Clark, and there's some people resting in peace up the hill. So it's a very desirable piece of dirt, and there we've had at least two different developers that we know of have expressed interest in developing this area. And as Dean Marriott pointed out, this is incredibly sensitive habitat area. And if we care about the fish in the water, if we care about protecting the streams and the other natural habitat, it was vitally important that this stay in public ownership.
Okay. You have a question, or?
Well, just a comment. Dave and Dixie Johnston, we live almost across the street from that. We're very happy to see it and want to thank everybody involved for seeing this happen. I know Dixie, especially through the years, has worked to have that property purchased under the Metro bond measures and preserved as open space there. So as neighbors, we're very happy to see that property that have come up through the years. So to all of you involved, many of you know us anyway, thank you.
Thank you.